Hello and welcome to Guest Boyz for, I think it's November. Yeah, it's pretty goddamn cold, so it's November. I'm super excited to have two members of a game that I've been following since 2016, I think, back when the first demo came out. The game is Bug Fables, and I think Jose, I think it was you who linked me it way back then, like kind of sheepishly, because like, oh man, this demo really sucks. It's not that good. I played it and I immediately fell in love with it and played it for I think 2 hours straight. Uh, I've been following their progress ever since, and now that their Indiegogo campaign has launched, I knew I had to get them on the show. So enough of me talking. I'll go ahead and I'll let you guys introduce yourself and your role in the team.
Okay. I'm Jose, the guy. Thanks for having me. I want to apologize for the first demo, but I'm really glad to be here and be able to show off like everything we've done so far. It's been a really long road to get where we are now. I just write all the dialogue and like manage the Twitter and stuff. Yeah.
Hey, you write the stories too, man. Don't forget that. And hello everyone. So I'm Tristan, and I'm basically just the composer slash music dude for the game. So yeah, I just got on the project like back in July 2017, and yeah, I've been working with them ever since then.
All right, and so what is the full team? Who are the rest of the team members?
If you want to count everyone who's like done stuff for the game, it's me and Tristan. We have Marcio, who's like lead programmer in Brazil. We have Stefan. We just call him FO. EFO? EFFO, whatever. In the US. We have Allison, who designs some characters sometimes. She designs Sasp and Mothiba. And we have Poppy in New Zealand, who was one of my classmates. She helps us out with the icons for the items and stuff to make them like extra cute.
So right off the top, what's the elevator pitch? What is Bug Fables?
You play as three bugs, Bee, Beetle, and Moth. And you explore this giant kingdom called Bulgaria. Bulgaria? Bulgaria.
I mean, you say that like you're asking me. I don't write the game.
I mean,
We've never had a reason to say it out loud.
yeah, like, how do you even pronounce Bulgaria? And you are looking for this super secret treasure called the Everlasting Sapling. Just like it's like the Holy Grail. You eat it, you become immortal and super powerful. And they've been looking for it for like hundreds of years. No one's found it. So they just team up and try to find it.
All right, so before we get into more specifics of the game, I want to hear a bit more about the people behind the scenes in the actual dev team. So you said that there's not a central location for the team, right? It seems like everyone's kind of working from their own home on small portions of the game. They're each kind of section of the game.
Oh yeah, we're a team from like all over the world. So like Jose is from Panama, Marcio is from Brazil, FO is I think American, and I'm from France. So it's a pretty diverse crowd of people.
Yeah, we like Discord is actually our HQ. It's worked out pretty well because we all like work on the same time zones and we get along pretty well, so it hasn't really been an issue.
So how did you guys all get together? How did you assemble this this ragtag team here? How'd you all meet each other?
Okay, so Marcy and I met like 8 years ago on the Nuzlocke forums. You know Pokemon Nuzlocke, where Pokemon just die when they faint. You release them.
That's right, from the I think Nuzlocke came from the comics where he had a Nuzleaf that he named after the guy from Lost.
Yeah, that guy. So we were pretty big fans. So we were in the forums and we draw like really bad comics of it. And then like the Pokemon hacking tools had gotten pretty like easy to use even for like high schoolers. So we started working on something called like Manly Pink. It was just like putting the Gen 5 Pokemon into Fire Red. When we finished that, we just kind of stayed in touch. And then just kind of after like a few years of like 100 projects that went nowhere, we made like this little comic about bugs with Bee, but she was like really mean and spiteful. and Beetle, but he like walked on 4 legs, and Moth. Moth was purple and sassy, but like not the sassy it's now, but like really pretentious ballerina sassy. It was weird. It's weird looking back. So after a few days, it was like, hey, this can be a game. So we started just prototyping and sharing ideas. And that's kind of where the demo came out. The one that's really bad. It just happened in like 6 months. We didn't expect anyone to actually like it because people liked it even though it was bad. We kind of decided to keep working on it.
Interesting. So where did Tristan head into this? Where'd you guys meet him at?
Oh, so after we saved up a lot of money to be able to afford a composer, we were just like, okay, we need one. So we met in the amateur game developers Discord. I kind of just posted a job listing, and one of the mods just tagged like at everyone, and some people messaged me, and Tristan just sent like, "Hi, I'm Tristan,"
and thus history was made. Yeah, that's the thing with game composers. Generally, if you're gonna post an ad, you're bound to get like 50 answers.
We didn't get that many. We just got like 4 in the end. But that doesn't mean that. Okay, so he was good. It was good. I listened to a few of his. He didn't make games before. He just had a lot of like miscellaneous tracks. It's her like one that I really really liked, and I was like, this is the one.
Do you remember what that track was that made you go, "Oh, this is the dude"?
Oh yes. I'll have to look it up. It was like the chiptune retro one, like the very first one. I just
Groovy Underworld, yeah.
Yeah, it was literally called Groovy Underworld Theme, and the first track he composed was called Outskirts, so it was the same thing but better.
Yeah. Oh yeah, pretty much there.
So yeah, I'll definitely link that in the description with the first track there.
Yeah. No, it was actually kind of funny because like I was like just starting to think, I should start to maybe try and get into video game music, and so I made a point to like create a few tracks that would be kind of in a video game style, so I could tell people, hey, look, I can make this stuff. And probably like maybe 1 or 2 weeks after I posted those tracks, Jose went onto the chat and went, hey, I'm looking for a composer for around an RPG / all that stuff. And another guy in the chat was like, hey, I know the guy for you, this guy.
This dude over here.
Yeah, this guy with the groovy stuff.
So, were there any other large projects that you guys worked on before? I know you mentioned the Manly Pink mod and a bunch of other things that didn't end up going anywhere. But between you guys, are there any other big projects you did?
I do have a game on Steam. It was like a school project about like an illness. So it's not really a fun game. It was just more like a race awareness game. It's coming out like on Friday. We released it on itch.io last year. We just like upgraded it a little, and then someone was gonna publish it, and they disappeared for like 3 months, and now they're releasing it. So I've done that. I'll just link it too, I guess. Yeah. Oh, I worked on that game with Poppy, the one who does the item icons. So that's how I know her.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Were there any big projects you were a part of, Tristan?
Well, I mean, I've been kind of doing like music for, since I was like, I don't know, 12 maybe. So yeah, I've always kind of been part of various bands that got nowhere and did projects like those. But yeah, before that, the biggest musical projects I did were basically just recording solo albums for myself, which are on Bandcamp. You can find them pretty easily. But yeah, I never really did professional, quote-unquote, projects like this before. So yeah, mostly just, usual playing in bands, stuff like that.
All right, I've got a few more kind of early questions here. One of the ones that I was personally really wondering is, why the name Moonsprout?
Okay, so funny story. We took 2 months to come up with a company name. We're awful at names. We hate them. Our name be Beetle and Moth, so like, you follow me. We tried everything to make it about bugs, to make it about Panama, to make it about anything, and we were just like, okay, we can't do it. So we asked a friend of ours, like completely unrelated, like, do you have any names? And he gave us a list of like 20, and we just picked that one because it was cute and it's symbolic. Because the moon's like really far away. Humans have tried like really hard to reach it, and there's just like this little sprout growing on it, like trying really hard to be like a big tree on the moon. That's kind of us.
Little people with big ideas.
Honestly, credit to my friend. He knows who he is. He doesn't want his name disclosed. But yeah, we're awful at names.
All right, so this question here, this one's important. Probably the most important question. What's your favorite type of bug? I both fear and respect spiders.
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely spiders for me as well. They're what I like as spiders is like you have like the whole spectrum from adorable to absolutely terrifying. So like I don't remember the name, but there was like those little cute fuzzy jumping spiders that just look so adorable, and then you've got your typical horror.
You've got your Australian spiders.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like the huntsman spiders or something like that. Yeah,
I wish I had an exciting answer, but come on, it's just bees. They're great. Bees are great. They give you honey, social. Did you know that they can kill wasps by hugging it to death?
Aww.
Their stingers cannot actually harm the wasp. So they're like, fuck, what do we do? So they just hug it, like 200 bees just like pile drive it with love, and he just suffocates. It's great.
So before it was the entire type of bug, what's your favorite number one insect? Mine is the bombardier beetle, because it's like, you know that 4-panel MS Paint comic that's like, hey, look how hard I can pee? It's basically that. It's a bug.
Okay, my favorite insect of all time is the dung beetle, because it's such a sad life. Like, I just sympathize. Like, you were created to evolve for millions of years just to roll shit into a bowl. Like, I just need to, like, give it some love. You know what I'm talking about?
I like the dung beetle. He's cool. It's a good bug.
Yeah, he does his thing.
One of the very first enemies for Bug Fables was actually a dung beetle, who would handstand and just have, like, a bowl behind it. Not of shit, just, like, soil. And he had, like, really dirty Mexican mustache, and we were like, we cannot do this. This is... Yeah, like, this is even before the first demo. I think I have the sketch somewhere. I'm not gonna post it. We were just like, no, this is not gonna happen. Like, Beetle would like flip it, and the ball would just like roll away, and it'd be really sad.
What about you, Tristan? What's your favorite number one bug? The best of the bugs?
Oh man, I have no idea. There's like so many to choose from. I really should have thought about this question before getting here. I don't know. I want to say like those spiders like with really long legs and really small bodies that are like completely harmless. Yeah, we call them cousins.
Harvestmen, I think. Harvestmen spiders, where they're just a little red ball and they got really long legs.
Yeah, the one that you can basically just take in your hands and they're like, oh hey there. I like those. So there.
All right, so the first batch of questions here are directed at Tristan. So you said that you started making music when you were about 12. Was there a specific instrument that you were learning, or was it just, oh, hey, my uncle got me a drum machine?
No, there was a specific instrument and actually a specific story behind me learning music. So when I was, about that age, 11, 12, my best friend of the time kind of like got into learning the piano out of nowhere. And the thing with that guy is he is an absolute like genius / prodigy. So I don't know, like maybe after 3 months of learning the piano, he could already play like Chopin pieces. And so yeah, he was amazing. And I don't know, I just remember like, learning about him playing the piano and being like, whoa man, that's amazing. How do you do all that and etc. And I don't know, and like, he would play me like a piece by some artist, and I would say, hey, I like how you're playing that, but I wish you played that part slower or faster and stuff like that. And he just said to me, well, if you want it to be played slower, just learn to play it, man. I mean, I'm not gonna play it slower for you. So I kind of just ended up doing that. Like I basically like started making music like out of jealousy.
I'll show this asshole.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. No, I mean.
Former
much,
best friend.
Oh yeah, but pretty much yeah. I mean, part jealousy, but also mostly because like I remember like seeing him play music and being like, well, that's amazing. Like I wish I could do that. It seems like really satisfying to do and all that. So yeah, pretty much started music like just playing classical piano. So like between the ages of 11 to like 14, 15, like classical music was all I was interested in. So it was all piano music, orchestra, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I kind of got more into rock music and when I was about 15, and then a bit of everything.
Was there
So,
any
yes.
one specific instrument that you're just looking at like, oh hell yes?
Oh well, the piano, obviously. I mean, it's like I think the piano is like the closest thing to objectively being the best instrument like ever.
Now you say
'Cause
that,
they're-
but have you heard the Aztec death whistle? Technically, it's an instrument.
I have not, but I will check this out after this.
Oh, okay, yeah. Look it up on YouTube. It is genuinely terrifying. Like, imagine being French or from like South America,
Yeah.
and you go to this country, and then the Mayans come at you with 500 of those, and they're swinging obsidian blades, and it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, I think it would be.
Also, the accordion. I like the accordion for similar reasons.
Yeah, the accordion is fun. It's like, but like I was saying, I think like the piano is still like my favorite instrument. Like, I mean, partially because it's the first one I ever learned to play, and also because like it's just you can just play so much more on a piano that you can play on any other instrument. Like you can play several melodies at the same time. You can do chords and accompaniments, and it's got a very wide dynamic range. So it's like, yeah, it's like the most you can do with one instrument. It's the piano. No, nothing comes even close. Well, except for synthesizers, but that's another story.
I mean, a computer could do that too.
Yeah, obviously, but well, computers still can't sound exactly like pianos, but they can get close.
Yeah. So, what are some of your favorite soundtracks in video games?
Oh boy, but well, probably, to be honest, probably like the typical ones that everybody names. So like, I grew up playing the Super Nintendo, so obviously, all the Mario soundtracks are like a given. Yoshi's Island, Donkey Kong Country, yeah, all that's, all that, all that's typical stuff. I think, I don't know, other favorite soundtracks, I remember being very into the early Tomb Raider games. I think, I don't know, they had a kind of mood that the others don't have. And, yeah, honestly, this is honestly, I'm almost not very knowledgeable about video game soundtracks compared to a lot of people I know. So, like, I mean, I actually don't even play that many video games. Like I mean,
It's okay. I've been
yeah,
all the weeaboo video game soundtracks I can.
yeah. No, I mean, those conversations are always a bit weird because it's like, hey, you're working on a video game. What are your influences? And I'm like, hey, do you like Pokemon? And I'm like, I've never played a Pokemon game entirely. It's like I'm so uncultured in this kind of.
In that specifically in video games,
Right,
game
yeah.
soundtracks.
Yeah. I mean, I like video game soundtracks, and I mean, Jose, we talk a lot about music, so he links me all sorts of stuff that I would have missed otherwise. But yeah, my musical background is really much more classical and maybe rock oriented, and it's more,
All right.
But
Well,
yeah.
The next question here is about Bug Fables soundtrack specifically. When you started doing the tracks, did they give you like the demo to play? Did they just give you a feeling? Was it just, bugs? This probably sounds like bugs.
Yeah, well, the first thing I asked them basically when I started working on the project was basically like I asked Jose to make me like an entire summary of the story and like all the characters and all that, to like kind of get a feel of, you know, what would be going on, what the project would look like. And yeah, I basically asked them for a demo version of the game. At the time, they just had like a very basic test room, which was just like, you know, a single map with a bunch of characters in them, and you could pretty much just walk around and talk to a bunch of bugs and all that stuff. But you know, already I thought it was kind of like good to have a visual reference to start making the music. But you know, at the same time, like when I got on board in the first place, it was already because we had clearly like shared interests musically, so I didn't have to adapt too much to fit the project, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. You said it was
So, yeah.
Outskirts was your first one. What was the kind of the order? What came after that?
Well, first one was Outskirts. Second was the battle theme. The normal fight stuff. Third one, I'm pretty sure was Snake Mouth.
Yep.
I think. And fourth, I want to say the Spider Boss, actually.
It was the Spider Boss.
Yeah, which is my favorite track I think I made for the game so far.
Now, is it Spider or Sputter?
Well, technically the game never...
Okay.
This is when Jose becomes angry.
So, the track was originally called like Vicious Spider or something else, and Tristan was like, "Can I call it this?" And I was like, "No, that makes no sense." He's like, "Please, just this one time, can I call it that?" They call him Spooter, and I'm like,
Sputter.
"But why?" He's like,
Well-
"Please." I'm like, "Okay, fine, Jesus." So he did. So we just put it. That's the backstory.
Yeah, like Sputter was just like a joke name that they never intended to get into the game, but I was like, come on, that's like, you can't not use it. It's like,
He almost
it's
looks
too
like a
perfect.
potato.
Yeah, he does.
He's a potato with 8 eyes.
Spooter wasn't the original comic. We've been waiting 2 years to actually fight Spooter.
Oh yeah.
Now, how long is this original comic?
It's just the prologue, except it's shorter. Okay, so the comic is Bee and Beetle meet up outside Snake Mouth with Moth. So Moth wasn't spoilers back then. They just go into the cave and they tell Beetle to shut up because he talks too much. And then just fall through a ditch, get attacked by a spider. And Beetle just like pushes Bee out of the way like he does now, except he gets trapped in the web right away. And then Bee and Moth are like, well, goodbye. Fuck this. Goodbye, Beetle. And then Beetle just has like, goes Super Saiyan Rage and just like breaks off and kills the spider by himself. And then Bee was like, we were just kidding. We knew you could do it. She was an asshole. Can I say that in this podcast?
Yes, you are allowed to call B an asshole.
Okay, B was just a giant asshole. So the thing is, we were 3 people, and each of us drew a page, so it was just really inconsistent with the writing and everything. So we were just going for cheap laughs. We weren't really thinking it was going to be a game.
You still have those sitting around? Because I kind of want to see them.
No, they have a very important spoiler you cannot see.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun.
Spoiler.
I mean, I could just skip that page. If you want a fun story in the demo right now, you know how Bee saves Beetle after you lose like a hopeless fight?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so before, Beetle got trapped, and then Bee just saved him, but there was like no hopeless fight. It just all happened all at once. And Tristan here was like, hey, that's kind of shit. Should probably. I was like,
just immediately like, oh,
I didn't
right,
say
then.
it like that.
okay,
I
but
said I think this can be improved upon.
yeah, but we all know what that means. And he was right.
Oh.
Right. So now the part where you actually free Moth from the web, like that got added later. So it was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Tristan.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like not to say I'm amazing or anything, but I think the other thing like I I remember suggesting was starting the demo before Snake Mouth, because like a previous version, I remember it was basically Beetle and Bee meeting outside Snake Mouth and going inside right away. And I think I was like, hey, maybe it should start earlier, like at the association or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe you had that planned, I don't know.
Yeah, we were just trying to copy the comic word for word, and then by that point, after Tristan just like slapped me in the mouth, like, oh my god, you're right. Why are we doing this? We can do better. The comic's like 2 years old. Fuck it. And that gave us great things. Like, I like the new intro.
Yeah, it's very fun. It slowly introduces you to each one of the characters. You start with Beetle. You get a little bit of his personality. You see Bee in the background. You get a good hit at her personality. And then eventually you see the two interact until you add the third character in there.
Yeah, so previously it was the map where you meet Chuck. You just started there and got Beetle cut right away, and then just walked into Snake Mouth. So we added the association map, the next map, and that little map after Chuck. So we added like 3 maps to the intro to like make it a little longer, nicer stuff.
All right, so it seems like you first began kind of doing game design type stuff with that Manly Pink version, right? Back there in the Nuzlocke forums.
I mean, it was like anti-game design looking back. All I did in the hack was be like, wow, all these Pokemon are shit. I'm just gonna overbuff them to fuck and break the whole game. So no, no. I apologize to anyone who played it. I gave everything.
Stop.
I gave everything
Stop
Dragon Dance.
apologizing.
I gave everything Dragon Dance and like Calm Mind, and everything could boost up to like +6. It was. I know you don't get it. You don't play Pokemon.
He's not one of us
I'm
Pokeheads.
Is that
So,
seriously a term?
No, God,
Okay.
it probably is, but I don't
No.
want to hear anyone who calls themselves a Pokehead.
Let's just not think about it. But
So back in the version 1 demo, the art style was very sketchy. The lines are much thinner, and some of the characters looked radically different. For example, Beetle looked like he was a fucking tank, and he was about to go kick some ass. But then he turned into a round boy. So did that just kind of... How'd you guys get to a more rounded and very bolded style from the original kind of sketches?
so since before we were just kind of winging it because we didn't know it was gonna become what it is today, we had like no standards. You remember? I don't know if it was in the demo, but there was like a scuba diver ant with like a.
Yeah, I always wondered what was up with that ant that was just kind of there. He wasn't near water.
We had no lore. We had no anything. It was just like, okay, that ant has a snorkel, and that ant is a knight, and that ant is just an ant. Like, the designs didn't have to make sense. We were just doing whatever we wanted. And you'll notice in the new demo, Ladybug Knight looks really different.
Yeah, for some reason I think in the original, didn't they have a yellow shell? Which is the exact, like, yeah, there are yellow ladybugs, but most people associate it with red.
He had like steel shoulder pads and like a really big helmet with no eyes and like a lance. It was weird. We designed a lot of the reason Beetle changed specifically though, is because he was hard to animate. Like
When he was more
his body was
angular.
his body was really stiff with a lot of like hard edges and really right angles, and making him do anything just was like a travesty. So we just made him the little cute ball he is now. And he's really bullyable anyways, so it just works out.
What is the process that you went through for writing the trio of heroes? They each have a pretty distinct personality that plays really well off the other two. You've got Bee, who's Bee's very young, she's very hot-blooded. Beetle's very heroic and kind and really self-conscious. And then you've got Moth being like the mysterious straight man, except when he's not the straight man anymore.
It's been a really long process because it wasn't like if you ask me about any character that's not any of those 3, I can give you like a sharp answer. But with this one, because it started as a group project and we just like kind of diverted ourselves, we had to do a lot of changes. For example, Bee was really mean, but like irredeemably mean. Like you didn't want to play as Bee. She was an asshole. And like Moth was just an asshole as well. Everyone was an asshole except Beetle. It just felt bad. But not like in the way it is now, where they're just like slightly bantering, but they do care about each other. So it was just kind of like trying to find that balance where you enjoyed spending time with them, like a sitcom, I guess. Just trying to make the personalities match. There was this big turning point with Moth, which I can't spoil, because we kind of settled what the backstory was, and we kind of changed the personality of Moth a lot. Moth is the one who's changed the most into what it is now.
What was his original personality like? Just really just ballet, really fancy, sophisticated, and also purple?
Moth was like a trust fund kid. Like super arrogant, mean, overconfident, but no skills. Just like a mean, horrible person. It was like Mathiba, but without fans.
It seems like everyone just started off being jerks. Except Beetle.
Okay, so Marcio created Bee. My other friend, who's not on the project anymore, he created Moth. And I created Beetle. So that should say everything. So they were just being assholes, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna be the nice guy. But that's what happens. That's so hard to explain, because we started from such a weird point. We didn't create them with a purpose. We had to repurpose them, if that makes sense.
No, I get you. And then next question after here, you kind of addressed it a little bit there, was I was wondering if the process for developing the NPC's personality, how different that was from the trio. Do you have like a center idea, like, okay, this NPC is going to be here, and they're going to fulfill this purpose, and then you kind of make their little personality around that?
Yeah, so what I do is always ask myself, why does this NPC exist? And independently of what it's saying to you, what will that NPC do later, and what that has NPC done before? So I always try to, because they're all citizens in that town, they all have history with each other. I'm always trying to like, and how they relate to the main characters. Because Bee and Beetle, they've been living there for a bit. So I'm always trying to connect everyone and just like how the NPCs interact with each other. So there's an NPC in the demo. He's called Moon. He's like a little mantis short dude in the commercial plaza who just tells you about being new in town, that he wants to meet new people. So he was the last NPC we added. We already have like a side quest for him and where he came from and like his deep issues and stuff and his redeemable arc. We basically create a main character every time. I don't like NPCs that just exist to exist.
Even though, didn't you make this guy like in the current demo? Doesn't he pretty much only say, "Hey, maybe press the select key to"?
Yeah, but in the final game, because this was just a demo. In the final game, he'll still do that, but on the quest board, when you take quests, you can talk to people and they change their dialogue and stuff. So we already have like Moon's gonna have his own troubles and stuff. We just try to make everyone real, because no one likes an NPC that just exists to say one line then disappears.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard though. Takes a while to like properly do it.
So moving away from NPC characters to more of the environment, what's the process for designing the overworld? What are some of the areas of the game that you've had planned out? Were there any that you were going to and then were like, after some work, this area doesn't fit anymore? Like that. The general overworld of Bug Area.
Okay, so once again, at first it was just making the comic, so sorry about the map with Chuck, which is gigantic and has nothing in it. We'll change it, I promise. When we design a map, we don't have any environment that we said doesn't fit anymore. We actually made the map before we even started working, so we already know how everything connects and like the climate and the type of like flora and fauna that lives in every part. That was decided really, really early on. So
we're not going to have a what is it in Dark Souls 2? There's an area where you're in a mountain and then you climb up a ladder and you end up like inside of a volcano. It doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go from a windmill, you go up a ladder, and now you're inside a volcano.
Okay, yeah, that's not gonna happen. We're not perfect, so it's a video game, so we'll have to do some slight warping because we don't want to do like real scale Skyrim type of map, but to actually design the environment, because we already know what's going to look like, we think what the gameplay first. So in the starting areas, it wasn't that noticeable because it was very linear because we were just in the tutorial phase. Like the first map is just to practice jumping, really. That's why there's like the little river part, and then you have to climb the steps to keep going like 3 times. It was just so people would jump. Like we didn't really. You can actually reach the platform on the far back with B's like flying ability, but you can't do that in the demo because you don't get it. But we were gonna hide a thing there. Spoilers. Sorry, podcast people. So.
You can find that secret item when the game comes out eventually.
Yeah, like we do have like plans for like revisiting for the purposes of side quests and stuff, but we usually just do gameplay. It's just, yeah, I don't know. We always sketch out with like, we don't draw anything. We just do like cubes that say NPC, enemy, switch, do this, do that.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned a little bit with the tutorial one there. So when you're going through an area, and how do you decide where to put, rocks, sticks, logs, flowers? Is it just kind of a set these here and then kind of push them, prod them, poke them around, slide them until it looks right? Other than the main ones like jump, 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 get them used to the idea, move down here, blah, 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 stuff like that.
Well, I'm not a good artist, Rip, but I do like drawing like arranging stuff. So on the process of where to put plants and rocks and stuff, I do tend to sketch out like, hey, I would like it to look kind of like this or to be formed like this. Like the background props are not really meant to be used for platforming. You'll notice they have like a lot of colliders to not let you fall off and die.
No, that makes sense. I'm just thinking, from someone who really doesn't know too much about the other side of game design, I'd be walking through an area and be like, oh, look, there's a log there. There's a rock there. I wonder if there's a reason.
I mean, we don't want the world to feel empty. Because you're really small books, you have to feel small. So that's why the End Plaza is full of like cardboard and music boxes. It's just really big items compared to the books, but in real life they're just really small. So when you're walking around and you see like that giant log with a flower on top, you're like, wow, that's a really big flower. Except, no, I'm just a really small bug. It's just like to give a sense of scale, you have to really do stuff like that.
This one here, how much of an emphasis is on dungeons in the game, both in the deepest lore and the playable world? Is the game going to be more about exploring the surface of Bug Area and then going into these dungeons, or exploring its depths?
Both. Equally. Like every chapter has a dungeon, but not all dungeons are in caves. For example, spoilers, chapter 1, the dungeon is like open area. It's it's outside. It's not inside any structure. It's just like around nature. And to get there, you have to interact a lot with the people in that area. I'm not gonna spoil more, but basically, we want people to experience both, to connect every dungeon with the area they're in. It's not just like, oh, there's this convenient cave that's a dungeon in this town. No, the dungeon has to connect with where it is.
All right, I got one more question here specifically for you, Jose, and that is, what is your puzzle philosophy? What if a puzzle is in an area, why is it there? What purpose does it serve?
Well, aside from fun. I mean, that's a hard question, honestly.
For example, in Snake Mouth Den, there's a lot of kind of small puzzles and little obstacles. There's a cave. There's a large open area section of the cave where you have to jump over a bunch of geysers. You go over, hit a switch. Right next to that switch is like some deepest lore tablet and stuff like that. I guess that technically counts as a puzzle. That's kind of like showing you. That's kind of poking and prodding you to go read this thing that gives you some important control information and all that, because it's still the tutorial area and all that. Like, what determines if I'm going to put a puzzle here?
Okay, so I can actually answer that. We want to balance exploration with thinking, and I think the best example of this is precisely in the demo when you open the big door. You've just solved like 4 rooms of puzzles back to back. And most people will be getting a little tired after that, right? So the very next map is just like this giant mushroom forest thing, full of bouncy shrooms. There's no puzzles in that map. It's just we designed it to be like specifically a win down map, so that you would just kind of have fun and just like look at something nice and not stress out too much.
I love that map, by the way. I think it's like definitely one of my favorites in Snake Path.
Oh,
It
yeah.
just looks so great.
And it's also got some secrets in there. I believe that's where you can find the Poison Defender badge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not like a puzzle to hide that secret. You can, as soon as you enter the map, if you look, it's right there on the top right. It's just there for you to see. Like, you're not meant to stress out. So when we try to space out puzzles, that's kind of why after you get Moth, the lake map is not really like hard. It's just like one little switch, and the rest is just platforming, so you can just look around. So we obviously, since we introduced so many field skills in the prologue, like 3 field skills, we want you to use all of them. We want you to combine them, and we want you to see like the different things you can do. We just want to like pace them out so you don't get like overwhelmed or have to do too much at once. That's kind of why we separated the thing into 2 sides instead of just doing a long 4-map puzzle gauntlet. So you can just finish one half, save, go do something else, then do the other half later. And we also made sure to put like the backtracking shortcuts, so you would save time, because no one wants to backtrack. Not throwing shade to any game in particular, I just don't like backtracking.
I can think of one game that this game might have gotten a little bit of inspiration from that has a pretty big problem with backtracking.
Oh, no,
But
no.
before we talk about that game, a little bit more about the game. Is it going to be chapter-based or more open world, but this is pretty much like this is Area 1, this is Area 2, this is... Like that is going to be more linear in the sense that you can go here, you can go back and do whatever you want, but here's chapter 2, here's chapter 3, chapter 4.
So
Kind of like that.
at a certain point, we considered doing it more open worldy, but we have like a story we want to tell, so it's important that stuff happens in order. So we're going chapter based. I don't think we're gonna have a gigantic Paper Mario title screen that says Chapter 2, the spoiler about X character. No, but it is important that it's linear, so that because every chapter has kind of like an important development for characters, except maybe chapter 1. That's just like team building, so you kind of like them more before you start like ruining their lives or something.
So what's the estimated game length that you guys are thinking? About how long do you think? It seems like from the demo it takes... To finish the prologue, it takes a little over an hour. So how long do you think you guys are... With someone doing not every side quest, but just every now and then? You know, the average gamer.
Well, I think if you rush the game and don't do any side quests, because side quests are actually going to be a pretty big part of it. Like, let's see. We have the prologue, we have chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, then chapter 5, then the final dungeon. I think it's like a solid 8 to 10 hours, depending on how bad you are, how good you are. I should have said how good you are first. I'm sorry. Okay. So,
Yeah.
if you do all the side quests, and it's a lot of side quests, and it's also exploration, knowing what to do, doing all the recipes, having to look it up on GameFAQs or something. It's probably going to be from 15 to 20 hours. It's just like a wild estimate. It's kind of hard to tell because you say the demo takes like an hour. And I've seen people that it took them like 3 hours to complete it, so it's kind of weird.
I mean, to 100% it took me exactly 4 hours, because I got the last line of dialogue as soon as it turned over to 4.
It just reminds me of Tales of Symphonia for the GameCube. Like, I saw like a guy that said 60 hours of gameplay, and then everyone finishes it in like 18 hours. I don't even like
you
to
gotta
say...
grind all the tiny stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so...
it's a wild estimate.
If you read the campaign, we don't even say time, I don't think. We just say like 7 times the demo or something.
Alright, so let's talk a little bit about Paper Mario. So, it's very clear to everyone on the planet that when you look at this game, it's like, oh shit, it's Paper Mario with Bug. And so, I just want to talk a little bit about it. For Paper Mario, what is your favorite area and your favorite partner? Mine was Boo Mansion and Parakarry because when I was little, I thought his ability was the coolest thing ever, and I used it for every small jump.
Um, okay. Are we counting all the games?
Yes. All of the games that have been released since, well, the two games, the one that came out in 2001 and the one that came out in 2004, if I'm going to be a petty jerk about it.
Don't be a petty jerk. Okay, so my favorite partner is Bobbery. Like, Bobbery and Vivian are my favorite because they're a bit more developed, like, outside of being Mario's partner. I mean, Joshi literally was born to be your partner. That's everything Joshi is. He hatches and he's your partner, and that's what Joshi is. Like, I like how Bobbery has, like, the story behind him and how you have to get to know him and convince him and interact with him so that he's part of your team. It's stuck with me, and it's also a sad story as well. My favorite area in Paper Mario, don't hate me, it's actually in Super Paper Mario. My favorite part is when you're doing, like, a really boring gauntlet where you have to defeat 100 enemies, and then in the middle of it, the world just ends.
Oh, the Sammer guy.
Yeah, the Sammer guy. And the world just ends and you end up in this white room.
And you have to walk for like 5 minutes.
It's like 2 minutes, but I really...
Feels like 10.
I really like that area because in the Paper Mario games, you don't really get to fail a lot. Like, you kind of fail, but you don't really fail. And in that moment, you really feel like you failed. Like, maybe you could have been better, but the game just keeps going and you have to live with it. And I know it gets fixed in the end, but at that moment, you really start feeling the tension, and it's just a very strong moment for me.
It definitely did feel like, oh, wait. Oh, wow. I mean, I took forever against these past few guys, but I didn't think I would actually... Did I... Oh, shit. Did I mess up?
Like, it was brave. Like, it takes time to just make an area and then nuke it. Like, I respect them. I think you can notice that my favorites are, like, directly tied to story more than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for me, I've actually, like, I played Paper Bugs when I was, like, way younger, like on my friend's Nintendo 64.
You mean Paper Mario?
Paper Mario, yep. Sorry. So yeah, no, I played it when I was, like, way younger, and I kind of forgot it until I got into this project, and I've actually kind of made it a point not to play the game or not to listen too much to the soundtrack, because, like, I specifically thought, that because this is a kind of spiritual successor type of thing, I didn't want to get, like, too influenced by it because I was afraid that I might copy it too closely, if that makes sense.
Might unconsciously start.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so I made it a point not to listen to the soundtrack, to not copy it, and apparently I remember the soundtrack much more than I think I did because I've had a lot of people tell me that, wow, the soundtrack feels just like Paper Mario. So I'm like, well, fuck it, I did it anyway, apparently.
I felt like that with Outskirts, actually, because I'm like, oh, this feels peppy and light, and it's got, there's a certain quality. There's a few things that Paper Mario does in its soundtrack. One of them is the best noise on the planet, which is a, ooh, ah! It's like, I don't know what it is. I think it's just some guy, but they put it on there.
No, I think I see what you mean. I think it's like I don't know the pronunciation. I think it's cuica or something like that. It's like a Brazilian instrument. It's like a drum that you, like, you don't hit the drum, but like you rub it with your hand instead, and it goes goes kind of like that.
That is, see, I need to go get one of those. But there's that, and then there's always some kind of background harpsichord style ambience that I heard in the Outskirts. I'm like, oh, sweet, here we go. This works.
Oh yeah, the kind of like instruments I use a lot in the Bug Fables soundtracks are like I like to use some like little piano stabs here and there. So there are some of those like in the middle of the Outskirts theme. And I kind of like use a lot of Mellotron too, which is like a 1960s early sampler, which is to kind of like have the, like, I don't know, it's kind of like one of the instruments I use the most on the soundtrack. But yeah, so talking about Paper Mario, yeah, I kind of made it a point not to replay it, so but apparently, like, apparently, I still got close enough to the soundtrack that people think it's similar. So probably I remember much more of it than I think, like subconsciously. And
I think part of it really is people seeing the art style and immediately hearing the music, like, okay, nope, those combine. They combine and mix into a slurry in my mind of that's Paper Mario.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, so why did you guys decide on the Paper Mario aesthetic?
I mean, like, there's a depressing amount of answers from me that's just, we were just winging it, honestly. We did want to make a game like it. We didn't expect to be called the spiritual successor or anything. Like, it wasn't a plan. Like, it was kind of a plan. We just didn't expect it to get to where it was. So that's kind of sad for me to just say that we just winged it and we just decided that it would look like that.
I mean, it looks good. It looks very nice. Paper kind of look feels. It feels right. It feels in place to a world where you're playing as these bugs that are, there's giant shoots of grass and stuff like it. It fits.
It just works really well because they're so cute and adorable. And something funny though is that we never actually went with paper aesthetic in the sense that we never made them behave like paper. You know what I mean? Like in Paper Mario 64, Mario gets fucking by Bowser, and he just falls off the sky like a little paper in the wind. But in Paper Bugs, they're like a little flat, but they're never like acting like they're made of paper. So that's something that we never really did. I think we just forgot about it or never really did it.
You didn't think it. The primary focus wasn't on the fact that it had that paper aesthetic. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, like, they just looked nice, so we kind of went with it. We weren't really trying to be, like, gonna give them, like, powers to become, like, a little taco paper, like Mario and the Thousand-Year Door or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like, Don't Starve has a little bit of that paper aesthetic, but it doesn't, you don't light a box on fire. You don't light the side of the screen that looks like paper on fire or anything. It's just, hey, it works. It looks good. Let's keep it. So Paper Mario is well known for Paper Mario was an RPG that they made for children, and part of that I think worked really well into it in that they would have these kind of oddball chapters where chapter 1 you get the McGruffin, chapter 2 you get the McGruffin, chapter 4 you have something radically different. You have the Glitz Pit, or you have Shiver City, or you have the Excess Express. You have that one oddball chapter that's just takes you out, just steps back, moves 5 feet to the right, and then steps right back in, and you're in a completely different style of game. And is that something that you guys think you might be doing, or something that you think would fit well with Paper Bugs, where something to break up how some of the chapters work? Or do you intend to kind of do that just with the variety of places and ways that you explore them?
Okay, so because of the lore, we don't really have access to that much technology and stuff. But we do have a few chapters where the primary focus isn't to get an artifact. We do vary the tone and the objectives, and you do go to very different places. We do have one chapter I think is going to be the oddball. It's when you go to the Bee Kingdom, Bee's hometown. It's just like this hive. Really regal hive that, if you played the demo, bees are like really fancy European monarchy type of thing.
Yeah, they're all about art and honey, and I don't know what else.
Paint. Like, they paint and stuff. Like, they're just posh. I think it'll be the odd one out because the mood is really different to the rest of the game. Because you're kind of in allied territory. You're not really exploring, like, the grave of 1,000 explorers or anything.
The grave of the fireflies, if you will.
Even if aesthetically it's not, like, completely different, I think it's gonna be the oddball out just because of the mood of the chapter. We have, like, magic and stuff with the like, magic crystals and stuff, so we do want to try, like, shake up some environments using magic a bit, but I'm not gonna spoil that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So another one of the major draws that Paper Mario had, in my opinion, was there was a lot of ways you could interact with the environment. When you're playing a typical Super Nintendo era RPG, you can talk to people. Sometimes you can interact with booths or stuff. But in Paper Mario, I remembered I would smack every tree with a hammer. I would shake every ruffle of grass. There was a lot of things you could interact with in the world, and then you had the party skills where you could jump over a gap, collect an item over there. You could find out what's going on in the area using Goombarios. Do you guys have any plans to include stuff like that to when you're going from point A to point B? What is it? What's going on in there to keep you interested while you're going across the world?
So we're gonna try to hide a lot more secrets in the overworld. Like I know in the demo it's pretty linear, but since after the prologue players are kind of like already used to everything, we can be a little more clever or like a little more challenging in getting stuff. I don't know if it's in the trailer that they're jumping over some like fly traps. I don't know if that was on the trailer or on the screenshots. We have
the red and yellow fly traps in the in the Golden Hills, maybe.
Yeah, like if you stay standing on them, the fly trap will just eat you. And there's like we can use that to be a little more challenging in the platforming. We want to play with camera angles so you can find stuff behind other stuff and just like do a little path. But the thing is, we get told a lot about interacting with the environment. The thing is, we're kind of a small team. We're just trying to do what we can. Certainly, if there's time, we want to do more stuff like being able to shake bushes and stuff. But right now, the priority is just like the puzzles and getting the chapters done. Like, we just have a budget and time, and there's some stuff that eventually, because you have that time limit and that money limit, you start having to cut off because it's not like as what's the word in English?
It's not as important.
Yeah,
that you have to cut off the least cool stuff. Everything might be really fun and cool, but at a certain point you gotta pick. Okay, well, can't have this thing in there. You know, we tried for the majority of our dev time, but we cannot put one of those little spinny beanie hats on Moth. We're gonna have to cut it.
Yep. Like we're gonna try. If anything, we're trying to make all the side quests not just be fetch quests and stuff. Like we're trying to make them have their own story and everything and interactions and give good rewards and stuff. As a kid, actually, I must confess, I never used the notice board ever. I just didn't feel like I should. It just didn't really catch my attention.
The one outside of Merlau's house?
Yeah, like I didn't care. Sorry guys, don't hate me. Like it was just, I don't know, I didn't feel really like I had to help, so I just wanted to make a quest board that felt a little cooler, like by actually interacting with the people that's already in town. I don't really know how it is in the 1,000-Year Door. Someone's already saying that the side quests were better, but oh no, my god, that sounds bad. Okay, you can cut that. I'm leaving. Good.
Alright, so I've got 2 more questions here. Well, I have more past that, but so this one here, this is still on the topic of Paper Mario, I should say. In Paper Mario, combat was kept pretty simple. There wasn't really a lot of room for intense strategy outside of Danger Mario, where you just get beefy. And so I'm wondering if you guys have any plans to add in items or medals that allow you to change your strategy, especially in hard mode, which is a badge, medal, item, equipment that you get right at the start of the game that makes the game not overly hard, at least in the prologue, but hard enough to keep you interested. And there's a little bit of those kind of side strategies with the poison strats. And so I'm wondering if you guys have any more further plans with things like those, encouraging alternate play styles.
Yeah, we want to encourage different play styles, and we do have some items to enable them. It's like the poison strat. We don't have danger in the demo, but we have items that just heal TP and then like reduce you to 1 HP to make danger easier, but we don't want to make any build that's like OP as hell, like do 30 damage with power bounce in 1 turn type of strat. We don't want to do that. It's kind of why we don't have like Super Guard where you just take no damage and just parry. It was too strong. We do want to keep balance. My favorite strat is actually Spiky Bod Beetle, where you just like load them up with tank medals and then taunt every turn, and then enemies just kill themselves. We do want to encourage different builds. Since the characters are so strong, I want to make sure that every character has a build where the other two can just like buff them up.
Support.
Yeah. So in the demo we have Tank Beetle and Poison Bee, and Moth is just like kind of carry them. I want to try making a build where Moth is like the primary focus. So yeah, we do want to like vary it up and let people play in different ways.
All right. And so this last one here. So we've been making all these Paper Mario comparisons, and what makes Bug Fables not just Paper Mario 3? This time it's pay personal.
Oh my god. Okay, so with the utmost respect to Paper Mario, because I know it's, you know, famous for the story and everything, that's like ironically what makes us not Paper Mario 3. It's the world, it's the characters, how they interact with each other. Instead of like all the main party is constantly interacting with everything and each other. It's not like, how's the name, episodic, like in Paper Mario, like a partner and then you never see them again unless they're always out. We wanted to make sure every character had a character arc, like beginning, middle, end, that was fulfilling. The combat may be similar, but we've tweaked it a lot to not just be a copy with the hard mode, and we want to try different stuff with the mini bosses. In the end, it's gonna feel the same, but the more you sit down to think about it, the less of the same it is. I don't know how to say that in English.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in the game, such as in Paper Mario, Tattle is one of the big signature abilities, and I really, really like what you did with it in this game, where in Paper Mario you always had to have Goombella or Mario or Goombario or whoever else on the field in order to get the information. You'll get the little blurb about the enemy and their stats. But in Bug Fables, every character has it. It's called Spy. It's got a little, little action command, and you get the info, and also you get a little bit more. You get the info about the enemy, the raw stats, but then you get Bee's interpretation of the enemy and Beetles and Moths. And I really, really like that because 1, you get to see those sick bants. 2, you get to see their character come out in every single fight. Every time there's a new enemy, you're like, oh, sweet, I can't wait to see what Bee says, what Beetle says, what Moth says. I can't wait to see all these. And not to mention the turn relay system, where you have all 3 party members on the field at the same time.
Yeah, so Ultra Hard Mode is actually just spying the same enemy with all 3 party members the first turn. If you really want to have Hard Mode turned on.
That's how I lost against Zas twice and Spider once.
Also, once again, with the most due respect, Paper Mario is a really old game. There's a lot of quality of life changes you can do. We tried to, like, for example, you can switch the party member in front with just tapping the button. There's no menus and stuff. And precisely with it, spy like that, so you wouldn't have to have like a certain formation or only Beetle can spy or stuff like that. We want to make sure that we cut out like tedium or narrow your options so that you can do everything a little more seamlessly. Because, you should be playing the game, not just the game playing you. I don't know how to say it again. Shoutouts to Panama.
All right, so the last chunk of questions here are more about the crowdfunding. So, how did you decide? When did you hit the point where you're like, this game is far enough along that we're gonna put up a crowdfunder? And then why'd you go with IndieGogo?
Okay, so we went with IndieGogo because Panama is not allowed on Kickstarter. I sent Kickstarter. I was like, we use the dollar, we use the American dollar. We're basically the US. Can you let us kickstart? And they replied with no. So I was very sad for a bit. So that's why we use IndieGogo. actually the only reason, or we would have used Kickstarter. Yeah. Thanks Indiegogo though. Like they were really nice. They've been really supportive. I have nothing bad to say about them.
Yeah, because apart from that, like the main difference between Indiegogo and Kickstarter is that some Indiegogo like lets you do like crowdfundings where even if you don't reach the objective, you still get the money. But we're not even using that, so
Yeah,
we're still doing fixed.
Those are a little shady. We don't want to be.
Yeah, there's
Yeah. Yeah. Don't
All
do
or
those.
nothing,
Don't do
boys.
those.
Okay, so we decided we were gonna kickstart around like 2 days before we met Tristan.
Oh, really?
I mean, at that point, it was like, okay, if we get a composer, we're spending money on this, and it's gonna come from pocket, and we need money to finish it, and it's actually gonna be a product. So like, it's serious. It's not just like a hobby or a fan project. No, it's like a thing we're gonna sell. And we sat down. We had like really long talks and like analyzing our financial situation, and we didn't know how much we were gonna ask for yet, because we didn't know how much the composer was gonna charge and all that stuff. But we knew that if we were gonna get one, it was time to go like all in. Yeah, that's kind of when we decided.
Yeah, there's a few kind of unique things about the crowdfund for this game. Number one, it's on Indiegogo and it's on all or nothing. No half measures.
Yeah.
The second one is that there are no stretch goals, and the third is you still plan on working part-time while this game is in development. Can you tell me a bit more about why you didn't put any stretch goals on the campaign and why you decided against trying to get the funding to do it, or from the outset, trying to get the funding to do it full-time?
Okay, so I think Marcia's not going to be working part-time if we hit this. It's mostly me. The reason I'm gonna do part time is because I love my job and I don't want to quit it. It's not many hours. It's like really manageable. Like I'm running the Indiegogo and I'm still going to work. Like I'm fine. I just really like it. It's a job I've wanted for a long time. I didn't want to quit it. And
what is that job again? You keep mentioning it, but I don't actually know what it really is.
oh my god, I'm a teacher. I'm a lecturer. I give lectures. I teach people. I don't want to get into too many details. I just teach at a college that's like 15 minutes from home. So it's like dream job. Get paid well, good people, good students. So like I can manage. Like I've done the hours and analyzed it. It wasn't like a overnight decision. I did consider the workload and everything.
Mm-hmm. But you just decided that this is perfectly manageable to work here, and then I guess it also has the added benefit of having a little bit of a safety cushion. If something, if there's some expense that comes up, you still have this job, for some additional, fallback stuff. Yeah,
you always see that some crowdfunds, they run into the problem that they didn't budget properly and then they run out of money. We made really, really, really sure that wouldn't happen to us. We want to finish the game by June next year. Like, that's our goal. Stretch goals are great, but who doesn't want more money? But it would add to development time, like, that we can't predict. Like, let's just say we did $30,000 DLC chapter post-game. You take control of new characters and do a thing. That's probably like 4 months of work. We didn't want to promise something that we weren't sure we could do, and also we've planned the game from start to finish already. We have 80% of the. I have 80% of the side quests on my head. Like, I know exactly what's gonna happen. It's just, I feel like people are gonna get enough out of the full game that we didn't need to promise more. There's sound tests, achievements, side quests, chapter. It's like relatively long, a lot of music. It just felt like a complete package.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How many music tracks are you thinking will be in the final game?
Oh boy, Okay, so if you we just okay, so we just posted the soundtrack today, and
Which is banging. I would give it 5 out of 5 fire emojis.
oh my god.
thank you.
Okay, so if you take out stuff like the end theme, which is like 10 seconds, we have like 13 tracks, I think. That's just
Yeah, probably there
Yeah.
are a couple.
And that's just the demo. And there's actually a track that didn't make it into the game because it wasn't where we wanted it to be, so it was gonna be 14. And that's just the demo, so
Yeah.
there's gonna be a lot of music. Sorry, Tristan.
Oh yeah.
Put on your seatbelt and start at that piano. You know what
Oh
I'm
man,
saying?
yeah. There's so much music that I'm just kind of going, oh my god, how am I gonna do this track? You know the one I'm talking about, Jose.
It's okay. We have fallback tracks, so that he can do the easy
Yeah.
track while he figures out the hard one. So on the topic of ports and stuff,
That's actually what my next question was going to be about.
yeah, because people ask about
Do you plan?
yeah,
Do you plan on doing Switch? I think that's the biggest one that people really wanted to know is if you were going to do Switch. And also, apparently, a lot of people are worried that you're going to get sued by Nintendo.
I don't know why. Like, of all the things, we've already pitched to Nintendo. Like, you'd figure they would cease and desist us on the spot. We're 100% safe.
You have your game looks like paper, and cease and desist.
Oh my god, no, we're fine. We're 100% fine. I'm pretty sure. Like, there's no legal ground to sue us. Like, unless they secretly copyrighted your character spinning in place while being a plane, I don't think they can sue us. So it was too early to talk about console ports. It's not that we don't want to do them. If we do, we'll see how the game sells first, and we'll probably just pay it out of the profits we make. We're not gonna ask for the money for that, because if the game doesn't do well, there's probably not even a point to porting it. So I'm the downer, realistic guy who makes the scary business decisions. So I'm just like, okay, we're just gonna wait and see how that goes.
I've got 2 final questions for realsies this time. So it is March 1st, and the campaign has succeeded. You've gotten your $20,000. What's the next step? What are your plans right after this?
We're doing exactly the same thing we're doing now, which is just working on the game.
Doing the same thing now, but
with money. Tristan's gonna be like, "Phew, I'm getting paid more."
Yay. Money.
You'll notice we've uploaded like 3 new versions of the demo. It's just ongoing. We're working on a mini boss right now, and I'm writing like the post prologue scene. Like, we're just working anyways. There's no difference. The scary stuff is if we fail, I guess.
So on to my next question. It's March 1st, and you are at 19,999,
Oh no.
and you failed.
Okay, if that happens,
What do you do now?
If that happens, I'll just tell my mom to like back me.
Your mom says no. Now what do you do? Your campaign failed.
Mom, you betrayed me. Top 10 anime betrayal. If we fail, okay, first I'm gonna get really sad. I'm gonna need some time. People need time. They failed really bad. The game's gonna take like a year longer to come out because I'll have to make a lot of sacrifices to save up, pay for the music. We'll probably cut out a few side quests that we're gonna be more intricate because we're not gonna have like the resources. Honestly, we're not gonna cancel the game, but you know, we're asking for 20K, so that 20K we're still gonna need it. It's just gonna have to come from somewhere else. So I'll just figure something out, you know. Hard to say now.
Yeah, the campaign's doing very well right now. I'm very happy about that. It's about halfway. It's at about almost 12,000, I think. Well, there's still the entire month of February left. So, good vibes and happy thoughts.
Yeah, good vibes. I'm Beetle, I guess. Everything's going perfectly fine, and then, you know, Honey drops us one more berry now, and he thinks the economy's over.
All right, well, that's about everything that I've got here. I urge all the listeners to check out Bug Fables on IndieGogo. Give the demo a try. It's super, super fun. It's super, super good. I love it. Is there anything that either of you guys would like to mention before we end the episode with the podcast plugs?
Tristan?
I don't know. Just play the game, have fun. We had fun. I had a lot of fun working on it, so I hope it's as fun to listen to as it is for me to make. This is not a good sentence. Jose?
Okay, poor drunk Tristan.
Hey, not drunk.
I know.
He's French. He's always kind of half drunk.
Okay, shout outs to anyone out there making a fan game, proper project, personal project. It looks really hard at the start. It's really hard in the middle, and it's gonna be hard in the end. Just show it to people, make some friends. We've made a lot of good friends making this game. It's probably the best part that's come out of the game, just all the friends we made. Don't be scared to show stuff, make some sacrifices, get your game out. I think you can do it, because if I could do it, you can do it.
That's much better than mine.
All right, well, I want to thank you guys for being on the show. And then for everyone listening at home, once again, check out the demo on IndieGogo. It's great. You can also find the podcast here on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Twitter at LMTYA PD. And then what's the Twitter for the Bug Fables?
Paper Bugged Up.
Really makes you think.
Okay, we changed the name like a week before the campaign.
That'll do it then. Make sure to check out the podcast Discord and the Bug Fables Discord. Also, if you want to check out the Patreon, there'll be a link in the description. But once again, I want to wish you guys good luck in the future. And hopefully, the IndieGogo campaign is funded and we'll see this game released in the future.